and tell me some of your, let's start with the biggest difficulties that you ran across.
Well, I think a lot of this is, I'm going to start off by saying that moms are conditioned. I don't think we're born this way. I think we are conditioned to feel a ton of guilt around our mom experience from the very beginning. And other mothers certainly don't make it easy. It won't take you long on Facebook to see mothers posting things that also come with disclaimers. It's like, look at this silly thing my son did, and then they'll clarify, just so you know, I was right there. No, he didn't hurt himself.
No babies were hurt in the filming.
Right. It's like, oh my gosh, come on. Like, I posted a picture of my daughter who cut like a giant chunk of her hair out, and it's not like she had play scissors. She had like super sharp scissors that she managed to get her hands on. And I did not apologize, because I know this is the reality of like every mother. We try and protect our kids as much as we can, but they're kids and we can't constantly watch them. So I will say that during quarantine, as a working mother, the amount of guilt has only been amplified. And it's not like I didn't struggle with it before, but it was always this understanding, hey, I'm a working mom, I'm an entrepreneur, which means I don't just work 9 to 5 or 8 to 4. I don't even work 10-hour days. Like, my days are basically always work. And that's a reality that I chose myself. I'm not very good at boundaries, although I'm trying. But, a lot of people say, I'm an entrepreneur and I protect my time, and like anytime after, from 5 to 8 is just family time. I adore those people, and I hope to God that that's a reality for them. But for me, if I get an email from someone who's like willing to sign a contract or be a client, like, I don't care if I'm in the middle of my dinner, like, I'm hopping on that, because my businesses are growing. I'm nurturing them into the point of profitability. And so, like, I just don't feel like I can be asleep on that. But there's always been this understanding that I'm hustling now so that I can get to a place, or I can get my businesses to a place where I don't have to hustle so hard. And last year, I made some really amazing progress on that, in that I had a one employee, and there was always a backup. There was someone who could do the things that I couldn't do, but there was also someone to, pick up the pieces if I missed something, or I wanted to take a vacation or go away or whatever. But then COVID changed all that, because I could no longer afford that person, because my main job is events, and events are put on hold for the foreseeable future. And so it's just back to me being the sole person who can handle this. And so on top of that, our kids are home from school, and they have packets from their teachers that we pick up every Monday that we're expected to do with them, or maybe not even. They've even said, like, you're not expected to do this, but like, then they also send, I swear to you, there's this one family in my daughter's class who does newsletters every week about everything they've done that week. And they send it out to the whole class. And I'm like, are you kidding? I'm basically like pulling my hair out, feeding them the breakfast, second breakfast, lunch, second lunch, snack, dinner, like feeding them all day long, making sure that they, are clothed, not killing themselves, when I'm also trying to be on video calls, or, right now, a podcast, right? And so it's been really super overwhelming. And I think my biggest takeaway from this is really just to be like, you're doing the best you can. Mm-hmm. Typically I pay daycare to take care of my youngest, and we also have aftercare for our oldest after school's over, so that my husband, who's also a full-time working dad, and myself have some time to actually be productive in the things that really bring us joy. Not that our kids don't bring us joy, but like, we love our jobs. We love what it is we're striving to do. Like, my husband's finishing up law school. Like, that means a lot to him. And, I'm launching and scaling businesses. That means a lot to me. And so now that the kids are home all day, every day, there's no protected time. this muddled mess of, well, I'll take care of the kids and I'll try and get back to doing this thing that I'm supposed to be doing. And, I've got a call, so let me tell my husband that I've got a call. Oh, wait, he's got a call too. Okay, do you guys want to watch TV for a little while? But it's a lot. It's definitely not an ideal situation.
It's very interesting. I've looked at this dynamic for many years, and it helped me choose not to have children in this lifetime. But I wanted to tell you some of the things I came across that really just blew my mind. I never thought about before. But, for example, in the timeline that a woman is in the optimal space to have a child, so let's just say hopefully at least 20 to like 38 or 5, depending on the human, of course, maybe even longer. Let's just use that basic breakdown. So in that time when she's fertile, she's young, she can have a child, that is also the time that you build and grow your career. Mm-hmm. So I found that wildly unfair in my mind. I don't know how unfair it ultimately is, but in my mind, I was thinking, so I have to pick between getting out of the gates in my career and raising kids, because I knew that I would never make enough money at the beginning to like have nannies and stuff like that. So I was like, no, I can't do that this time. I mean, maybe another life I have, and I do, of course, but this time I knew that I wanted to come out of the gate strong and forceful and not take any breaks and come all the way through my career, again, without having to do first breakfast, second breakfast, lunch, second lunch, snack, ITs. But it takes time. It's a distraction, and a distraction that a lot of people love, but nonetheless, it does take up time. And so I just found that it was very interesting that if a woman chooses to have children at 25 and says, okay, I finished college, I'm going to push pause and push it later when the kids get back in school, by the time she can actually do that and the kids are in school full time and she can go back to work, quite often things have changed so much in that career or that line of work, and then there might be more schooling and money need to be spent. So I just found it interesting that those two line up almost parallel to each other. And then this was the real kicker when I was younger that I didn't like. So women had children, kind of had to put their career or job on pause. When they, if and when they finally got back in, they could very easily find themselves in a situation where they're divorced. So it was just no promises, and it was just a lot of course, there's never any promises or guarantees at the end of the day, but I found that it was, unless you really trust this man that you are taking time away from your career with and to raise his children, of course your children too, and then put yourself at the starting gate at closer to 35 to get into work, hoping to God he doesn't find a mistress and leave your ass, and then you have zero skills, and then he's going to complain about paying child support and alimony. So I'm like, man, if you're going to do it, just do it with the right person and set up some plan Bs, I think. And I think that you and your husband are wildly intelligent. That's why I like hearing about how you guys are managing it and doing it, because I know that you both go full tilt at your career, and you got beautiful little girls that you guys raise that seem healthy and spunky and educated and wonderful and heartful and well-rounded in that way. So thanks for sharing a bit of perspective. Did you think about did you plan the year that you had children, or was it kind of like, we're married, let's just see what happens, or did you plan that out?
Well, I think the best laid plans, right? So we married when I was a little bit older than I think the average bride. I was 27, and then we tried for a number of years before we actually fell pregnant with our first. So I was 30 when we had Kaya, and then 3 years later we got pregnant with Everly. And she was a bit of a surprise. It was John's first month of law school. Certainly wouldn't have been our plan if we had any control over it. But what I think I'd love to add on to the facts that you just, boy, do I feel what you just explained, is that scientifically or statistically, I guess is a better word to say, women's peak earning potential is between the ages of 40 and 50. Mind you, as you just mentioned, if they're raising children, then they're probably getting a later start to their careers anyways, but they also have an earlier peak on earning potential than men who don't peak until their 50s as to earning potential. So already we have it stacked against us when it comes to having professional careers, which is unfortunate. Hopefully that's shifting and changing. But more than that, what I'd love to see in the post-COVID world, where both mom and dad are currently stuck at home with kids right now, for the most part. I mean, there's a lot of essential workers that are outside the house, but there's a lot of other people who are working remotely, both mom and dad in the house, probably hopefully having to split child care duties. I'm hoping that the employers are taking a look at I call it the grind and shine method. And we have been brought up in a very masculine energy dominated professional world. And that is what I call it the grind and shine. And it's basically like who can get there earliest, who can stay the longest, who can be the most productive, who can, like boom, boom, boom. It's a very masculine energy. Whereas the female energy is more about nurturing. And it's not necessarily less effective. It's just you're not accomplishing things in the same way. So a great example is like, if you're looking at marketing, there's the masculine energy that's like hustle. It's like in your face. It's used car salesman. It's like, buy today. It's very salesy in your face manner. Whereas the more feminine energy in marketing is more like we call them nurture campaigns. And it's like, let me add value here, and then let me plant the seed, and then let me tell you how much you mean to me and how much this relationship means to me. And then before you know it, you're like, I love this company. I don't care what they put out. I'm buying it, right? It's not more or less effective than the masculine in your face. It's not as fast as the masculine, because the masculine's like, buy now. Here's your credit. Like, what's your credit card? I'm charging you right now. Whereas the feminine version is kind of a long game, right? But it may end up being more profitable even because it's not so aggressive. I'm hoping that as we kind of come out of this dormant period where people are working from home and they're having to balance responsibilities and they're having to, make prioritization decisions to like, well, do I do this with my children or do I, bang out one last email, right? That we can do a slow shift into welcoming a more feminine energy, not necessarily having to replace the masculine, but just allowing for there to be a little bit more flow to accompany the hustle. That's what I'm hoping kind of comes out of this.
I love that. I love the yin yang. I often use that with my clients. I'm like, you've seen a yin yang symbol. It's half white, half black, and it's equal, and it's part masculine, part feminine. And I often have to use this symbolism with my clients because they'll be either too yanged out or too yinned out. And I have to tell them they don't necessarily have to get rid of how they are, just implement more of the other that they're lacking so that we can balance this out. And I love that gear toward the more feminine. I often tell my clients this too. Hey, what energy do you like buying stuff better from? A used car salesman or someone who's kind of unattached to what you choose and just simply doing their job and showing you a car? You want to buy from the person that has less anxiety and stress around your choice and more of an ease and grace. And I think that this situation, the quarantine, has really brought forth, like you said, that feminine energy and how helpful it can be and how wonderful it is for our nerves to take a break and not be jammed around and stressed out and pushed and pushed and pushed. I do see that we see a big crack in capitalism, and with any luck, we'll be able to mend it up and or break it down and create something more sustainable for our earth and sustainable for our minds. Yeah. I want to thank everyone for showing up. It goes too quick every time. This is Jennie McDaniel, and I'm here with the lovely Sarah Murphy. We're here every Tuesday. That's 1 p.m. Pacific time, and that's 4 p.m. Eastern. You can find us on any major podcast app. Just simply search Third Eye Political Radio, and we are Downward Dogma. If you want to search Heart Over Ego Radio, go ahead. You'll find a slew of shows over there that Sarah is even going to get one launched over there soon. So more on that. Again, it goes too quick, but you can find us here every Tuesday, and you can listen to our replays on any major podcast app, as well as Blog Talk Radio, Third Eye Political Radio. We appreciate you, and until next time. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
You're listening to Third Eye Political Radio, and we really appreciate you joining us. And when you have a moment, why don't you check out our sister station, Heart Over Ego Radio, where we offer